about 100 individuals to carry out the experiment by the GPS sequence. We used the formations to carry out geographical studies and the species distribution model to aim to detect the genetic diversity, genetic structure, and demographic history of this species. So for ADD testing, at last we detect about 90 haplotypes in total. And here is a network for it. And in our analysis, we noticed that from the software, Permute and SMOVA, all of them, they just said that there should be a sufficient geographic structure in this species. And SMOVA also suggests that all of the population should be grouped to two groups. It's just the south group and north groups. It's divided by almost the mountains. It's very famous in the Qinghai Plateau. It's the Tangla Mountains. On the map, so they are almost the same with the SMOVA result. And based on the ITL dataset, we noticed that we want to detect the diverse time of the elasticity between the major, the north and the south clade. At last, the results suggest the diverse time should be 4.63 million years ago. This time is really consistent with the time of this uplifted of the QTP during these times. So we think it should be the uplifted of the QTP caused the diversity between the species from the different populations. And we also do species distributions, and we noticed that from this time to here, the populations just experienced radiation, and from this time and to here, they just have a species single, and but from here to here, it's almost the same distributions. So we noticed that the rate of the participation distribution is now sufficient change from the middle helix to the current now. Very tricky questions, we noticed that this place just show a really high genetic diversity. For this place, it's a melt point or a refuge for this species. So we want to test if there expression signal between this place. We performed mismatch analysis. We fail to at last. Finally, we fail to detect expression signal in this region. So finally, we could just conclusion. For this species, there should be two different refuges at the glacial. One is in the south of the QTP, and one is the north QTP. And this area with a really high genetic diversity should be a melt point from this direction and from these directions. We also performed the experiment based on the SSR dataset. Firstly, we researched there is no SSR markers to be used for us. So firstly, we developed the SSR markers based on the ID sequence. At last, 38 of them could be successful applied, and 10 of them could be used in the field studies. for this result, we just published in APPS. And after we got the SSR markers, we performed a really experiment. At the last, we got we do some analysis. Firstly, the metal test suggests that there should be a size species fusion graph structure in this species. This result is similar to the CPD dataset actually. And we also structure all the populations, all the individuals. It's also two groups were shown here. So it's also consistent with the CPD dataset actually. We want to detect if there is a barrier in the distribution of this species. Finally, we detect two barriers that's in the red lines. We're mapping the barriers to the map. So at last, the barriers should be the mountains. It's also very similar to the CPD dataset result. It should be these mountains just divide all the population. But for this data, I just got no more than 1 week. So I just show some results here. We grouped all the GPS results. Finally, we could be contact from these pictures. Two groups is of course the same to the DP dataset and the ITS and the SSR data. And the structure is also shown. We group the all populations to be two groups. It should be the best result. And we just construct our technical trees between all the 100 libraries. And result always have some refuge on the marine platform. But for this, it's just okay. I would like to some support from the project, and this is our this group, and the work is performed by my students, three, and we also have a doctor from the Pakistan, Kudar. Thanks.
Thank you. Now, the session is
Are there any questions? I have one, but it's not really about the molecular. How does Mosaicae differ from the other families? I'm a morphologist, whatever. Well, first of all, how does the Mosaicae differ from the other families morphologically? Does it? And then my next question is going to be, between the two clades, are there consistent differences morphologically, ecologically?
Yes. Actually, okay, it's all right. Actually, for this genus, it's just between among two families. Actually, it's very similar to this. Also traditional technology. Yes.
Very good. So, and same question for the North Clade and the South Clade.
Yes.
Are there distinctions in flying time, ecology?
Yes. Yes. Okay.
So if there are any more questions? If there are no more questions, thank you again. So our next talk will be by Professor Dr. Rabia Asmat Ayman from the Institute of Plant Sciences at the University of Sindh. Who would like to come to the platform? And again, I'll allow you to give the talk.
प्रोफेसर साहब इसके साथ आप कर सकते हैं, ये स्लाइड आपकी चेंज हो जाएगी,
Thank you, Mary, and Assalamu alaikum, everyone. So the topic of my presentation is conservation of plant biodiversity of third desert south of Pakistan through botany. It's a large arid region in the northwestern part of the Indian subcontinent. Approximately 50,000 square kilometers pass into Pakistani territory in the Sindh districts of Tharparkar, Nipur Pass, Sangar, Khairpur, Sakkar and Kotki. It is the world's 18th largest desert and the world's 9th largest subtropical desert. So the third desert extends between the Aravalli Hills in the northeast, the Great Run of Kutch along the coast and the alluvial plains of the Indus River in the west and northwest. Most of the desert is covered by the huge shifting sand dunes that receive sediments from the alluvial plains and the coast. The sand is highly mobile due to strong winds occurring before the onset of the monsoon. So the Luni River is the only river integrated into the desert. So the people of Thar, the Thar desert is the most densely populated desert in the world, with a population density of 83 people per kilometer square. In Pakistan, the inhabitants include both they are Muslims and Hindus. So Thari culture is somewhat a mixture of the Gujarati, Rajasthani and Sindhi culture. Colorful culture is rich in tradition, prevails in this desert. The people have a great passion for folk music and poetry. The desert part in Pakistan also has a rich, multifaceted culture, heritage, traditions, folk tales, dances and music due to its inhabitants who belong to different regions, religions, sects and castes. So there is also various arts and crafts. There is a poetry, puppets, leather items. You can see here these embroidered mirror work on cloths and sheets, paintings, kundan and meenakshi. So there is a rain agriculture having different crops like millet, sorghum, watermelon, melon, sesame, white edible mushrooms and samses, cluster beans. So Thari people mostly depend on the livestock. Mostly there are cows, camels and goats. So Thar is an attractive place for tourism point of view for national and international tours. There are few famous places. There is a Jain temple at Nagar Parkar, Nokot Fort, Islam Fort, Mithi, Gadi Bit, Thari village, Nagar Parkar, temples and Karunjar Hills. So there is also a local industrialization in Thar desert is in progress, but you must be aware of this hot issue now in Pakistan, which is controversial. The Thar Anglo Coal Power Project is a coal-fired power plant under construction in Tharparkar district, with 660 megawatt energy generating capacity. But for environmentalists, it is at the cost of local energy because it is there is a loss of biodiversity and there is some sulfur contents in coal which are also hazardous, and there is a destruction of underground aquifers. So there are different reasons there. That's why it has been made controversial nowadays. So the climate changes demands instant conservation of local biodiversity. So climate change is a serious concern for countries like Pakistan, and it has helped impact on the livelihood of inhabitants of Pakistan. as weather change has affected the livelihoods of thousands of inhabitants of Thar Desert, compelled migration of humans closer to barrage areas has grown to the greater frequent in recent years, with a record number of desolate dwellers transferring. So there are various studies have been done on the flora and biodiversity of Thar. There are different species reported by these researchers. I'm not going to read out all these things. These are trees and shrubs, and there is some important list of herbs and grasses. Okay, you can see the pictorial view of some important plants of Thar. This is Acacia nilotica, Tamarix aphylla, Xanthurus biflorus, yes, Phragmites scarta, Capparis decidua, and there are other different plants, Indigofera, Tephrosia, Sena italica, Prosopis cinerea, Polygonum, Polygonides, Convolvulus prostratus, Rhynchosia minima. Yes, these are other Crotalaria, Trianthema, Kilium. So there are other different few species which are in trade. There is a Biliferous syndica and Convolvulus syndicus. They are endemic to Sindh, but they are very rarely, narrowly distributed in Thar. So threats to biodiversity, as you know that there is a climate change. Dr. Siraj already told us that different reasons of climate change and present status in Pakistan. But here in Thar, there is a drought and reduced rainfall, grazing, and there are some anthropogenic activities like deforestation, agriculture, hunting for natural resources, and industrialization. So to establish a botanical garden is a step towards conservation. So we have, today we had a presentation from Dr. Nissa. He already highlighted the advantages and main objectives of establishing botanical gardens. So the botanical gardens aim at sustainable development, and they serve in two ways, mainly two ways: to conserve the biodiversity, and also they serve for society in research and education, and also for commercialization. Okay, so I'm going to share a good news that we are going to establish a botanical garden in Institute of Plant Sciences at University of Pitt, and hopefully I think there will be eighth botanical garden. So it has been approved by Higher Education Commission along with herbarium. So there is some introduction of my institute. So there are more than 700 students, and there is a faculty. There are about 11 PhD members, and 3 are MPhil, and total are 16. And we have some programs like MSc. We are offering MSc in botany, BS, MPhil, and PhD. So far, PhD produced from my institutes are 45, MPhil 76, PhDs right now enrolled are 38, and MPhil enrolled students are 43. Then research grants funds ongoing are right now there are 3 research grants. And so we have collaboration with the different international organizations like Royal Botanical Garden Kew, Missouri Botanical Garden, and Institute of Botany, Chinese Academy of Sciences. So Mission Botanical Garden at IPS University of Sindh, the main purpose is to establish and maintain indigenous plants belonging to Thar, Kohistan, north and southern parts of Sindh province. To establish an environmental center for educational research, horticulture training, conservation, for undergraduate, graduate, MPhil, PhD and postdoc researchers, and for faculty of university, colleges and schools. And to provide recreational facility and resources to the indigenous and national visitors. Oh, this is just a rough map layout because its final design has not yet been approved. I am very happy to see here Dr. Basha Munisa. I got to know that he is working on in planning and development, so I will ask him to help me out to design this. But right now, the map, it includes different corners, just like we have, as you know, there's a Keithar. There is a Keithar National Park. It's between Karachi and Jamshoro in Keithar mountain ranges. So we are going to conserve the biodiversity of that Keithar, and we have named it Keithar Conservatory. Then there will be, it's not working anymore. Okay, there will be nurseries and greenhouses. There's one corner. There's a problem in pump. Okay. It's fine. So it's fine. So you can see here the different corners. So there is a one desert garden, there, and then there is a arboretum where we are going to protect or grow the endemic trees of the Sindh. And there is a wetland corner, and herb and aromatic plants, and there is a succulent hill. So the recommendation and conclusion is the third desert is rich in biodiversity of flora. In this region, despite of harsh climatic conditions, several plants of medicinal and other importance value grow, but are currently under threat of extinction due to the climatic change and anthropogenic activities. In recent past, several plants have either completely lost their habitat or left in few patches only. So establishment of a botanical garden in University of Sindh Jamshoro will help to conserve and preserve the plant biodiversity of Thar, especially in other areas rich in plant biodiversity of Sindh province, generally in addition to a resource of recreation and research. So I'm thankful to University of Sindh Jamshoro. Recently, University of Sindh Jamshoro has got its approval for its mega project of PC1, which is about 1600 million, and it includes the component of establishing herbarium and botanical gardens, and its estimation is around 70 million. And also Higher Education Commission to approve our project, which includes herbarium and botanical garden both. Thank you.
Are there any questions?
Okay. Since there are communities living over there in Thar,
Yeah.
particularly the community which with a different religion. So, did you find a difference in plant use between the Muslim community and the Hindu community?
Yes, they are.
Okay.
There is a work on medicinal plants and uses of the local people. And there is one colleague of mine, Rahmatullah Qureshi. He has highlighted that in detail.
Madam, most part of Pakistan are covered by deserts and mountains.
Yes.
How can we convert the desert area into a product to fertile land?
Sorry?
How can we convert these deserts
Yeah.
into a fertile land?
Into a fertile land.
Yes.
Actually, we have a very problem of water, so it's very difficult. So I need assistance from others who are real specialists in that field.
You have shown some anthropological aspects, carpet are there.
Yeah.
The ethnobotany of the deserts,
Yes.
how the people use the biodiversity. What are the ethnobotany of the
I
desert?
couldn't get you.
Certain, whether they are making baskets, other things. You have shown us some images of carpet, etc. There people, but we could not find the ethnobotany of the desert of that area. The people how they use.
Actually, this is just a brief introduction of third desert. I am focused on the establishment of those plants to conserve in my botanical garden.
One very simple question.
Yes.
There are desert conservation societies around the world. Is there any conservation society of third?
I don't know exactly.
No, this is amazing because the conservation society is in thousands of number. When you Google it.
Yes.
And unfortunately, we have a desert here. No conservation
Yes,
of.
there's no any, so you can start it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
One more last one.
I have a question. You mentioned that Peter Namias we declared as a national park.
Yeah.
So why there is the need of again for the protection or conservation of the same
Yes.
species in ex situ?
Actually, it is a protected area, but this biodiversity is being, disturbed. So there are many important plants going to disturb. I can't say it is a management problem. So that's why we are going to make another conservative corner over there.
Okay,
Thank you.
Okay,
Yes.
I have
Question?
one question.
Yes.
Please, ma'am.
Botanical Gardens is run by the Higher Education Commission of Pakistan. They are depending upon their environment. Like there is one botanical garden in Balochistan.
Yes.
They are specified for the environment. Then we have in Peshawar, we have in Khairpur. So in Khairpur, the area is almost similar with that environment. So how you will classify it?
No, Khairpur is different. It's a flat area, but we have the deserted area and hilly area. It's different from Jamshor area. Khairpur is actually agriculture area. Though they have near one part of desert, it's called Nara, but it's entirely different. It's topographical. Thank you.
Hello, madam. One question. Please, I want to ask my question, madam.
Who is asking us?
Yes, I'm here, madam.
Okay, you sorry.
Madam, I'm asking question. We are at the top, and I'm going to ask the question about the bottom of Pakistan. For me, it's interesting. Your slide shows that there are major anthropogenic activities which are going to destroy the vegetation, particularly the desert. I would like to know that which one is the major threat? Is it nomadic grazing or something else?
I think, yes, deforestation, grazing is the main problem.
Okay.
And climate change.
Because we have to decide whether it is a climatological issue with it, or it is grazing or something else.
Actually, the local people mostly depend on those
Okay.
plants. So grazing, and also, as I told you, that they depend on their livestock. So grazing is one of the main problems.
Thank you very much, madam. Nice of
Thank
you.
you.
Last question from Dr.
Yes, sir.
I am local, but my
Suggestion?
Nisar, if you visit,
Sir, do you need mine?
okay, this is my. If you just go and visit the Hyderabad, there is a fort, if I am wrong, Ranikot. And if you just see the history of that Ranikot,
that is 32 kilometers wall. And the President Ayub Khan visited this area through aerial visit. And I visited that area, and the Khairpur that is completely different from the
So now, if you just go and see that area, this is equal to the China Wall,
Yes.
Great Wall of China, which has been used for ecotourism. So for ecotourism, we have to focus that area. We have, this project has been granted through Higher Education Commission, and that has been reviewed. So that is need of that area, number one. Number two, we have to develop that, the oldest Raniport Fort, historical Raniport Fort, and 70% biodiversity is unknown, and only 30% is known. So we are, normally we see only that this is desert plant, but you see some of the desert plants, they are the mineral indicators, uranium indicators. So don't look at the desert, that is desert. That is the beauty of the biodiversity. And if you just see and the ground reality, that is as beautiful as Swat biodiversity is. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Thank you for answering all those questions. We're excited to come and visit. With that, we will move on to the next talk by Dr. Haida Ali on, from the Department of Botany at the University of Swat. And please bring up his on the Ishikawa Plant Expedition.
Thank you very much. I'm really delighted to be here in Chitral in front of so many young people, especially Dr. Bachamrisa, who could get success in just 1 year. Thank you all. So I will be talking about Chitral, the explorations and the things like we started back in 2005, and until now, what we could do. Okay, so my topic is floristic exploration in Chitral, with particular reference to endemism and realistic. Okay, so why Chitral? In 2012, I was presenting in Karachi, and there I said that I am in love with Chitral, and most probably my sentence was that Chitral is my first love. But unfortunately, my wife was there, and you can expect what would have happened back when I went to my home. Okay, Chitral lies between 35 degrees 50 and to 36 degrees 71 degrees east to 73 degrees east. The mountain ranges are probably in Hindu Kush range, bounded by Afghanistan, northern areas, Dir and Swat. So the total area of the valley is 14,850 square kilometers. This is the first largest district in the province. Population over here is around 330,000 people, and the altitudinal range, look at here. It starts from 1,094 meters at Arandu until 7,726 meters until the summits of Tirishbir. The indigenous languages, as per my knowledge is concerned, is 10. The drainage system is Chitral River. So for those who cannot find it on the map of Pakistan, it is over here. This is the detailed map of Chitral, and okay. So this was the answer of my question, that why Chitral? Because Chitral is surrounded by some of the highest mountains of the Hindu Kush range, with more than 40 peaks over 6,100 meters above sea level. In Swat, we got Falakset, that is around 6,000 meter altitude. That is the highest of the Swat region. But look at here. They got 40 peaks over here. The altitudinal range is, that is what I already told you. So the land access beyond the valley is restricted to few passes. So you will have to climb up to the mountain and then you will have to get downward here so that you may reach the top. Okay. The importance of the location of Chitral is that it is at the junction, almost at the junction of three mountain ranges. That is the Hindu Kush range, the Karakoram range, and the Himalayan range. So that's why the flora of Chitral is unique, because we can find the elements of these three great mountain ranges over here. This has a pronounced effect on the flora of Chitral. So here is, look at here, the Himalayan region. It extends towards here to the valley of Chitral. And then there is Karakoram range, starting from the upper areas, the northern areas. Then we can find some of the important elements of Pamir region. Then Hindu Kush is extended from the west. So that's why Chitral is very important regarding the floristic. Look at here, the gorges are formed by the deposition of the soil, the eroded soil, the alluvial soil. Okay. The flora of Chitral is unique in having following type of elements. Number one, the taxa are common in Himalayan region. That is the Sino-Japanese elements are found over here. The taxa in Karakoram and Hindu Kush, that is the Central Asian elements are found over here. The taxa from Himalayas, Karakoram and Hindu Kush. Okay, the Saharu-Sandhini elements are found over here. For those who are familiar with the stratigraphic elements, so that's quite a different phenomenon over here. So endemic to Pakistan, there are some of the very important taxa which are endemic to Pakistan, and they are found in Chitral. So besides that, we also have some taxa which are exclusively endemic to Chitral. These taxa are found nowhere else, even beyond the country or anywhere in the world. And besides that, we have some of the very important taxa. They are found in Chitral, but they were reported either in Afghanistan, in China, or in Russia. They are also found over in Chitral. So there are so many ethnic groups over here. The Afghans who are residing there in Arandu, the Kalash people, the Gujars, the Khawar, Chitrali people, and the Wakhi. Okay. The climate of the Chitral region is a Mediterranean type of. Most of the Chitral is monsoon excluded. Okay. Monsoon clouds hardly cross the Lawadi top, hence Chitral receives very little rainfall during summer. Most of the area is semi-arid with low precipitation and high variability between years. So snowfall is concentrated in central mountains and high ranges of the northeast. In winter, the temperature is -5 for several weeks. So here is a graph of starting from 2000 until 2006. That is what I could fit. So the mean monthly maximum temperature, the lowest in the January and December, and it rises until July and August. And here the rainfall, mean monthly precipitation. So the agricultural system, most of the areas still use conventional agricultural methods. So that is quite astonishing for me when I was first interacted with the people who are cultivating rice in some low-lying areas of Chitral. So for me, that's quite astonishing. Okay, most of the land, that is 62% of the land is steppe, 24% is covered by glaciers and snowfall, 4.7% is forest, 4.1% is barren rocks, 3% under agriculture, 1.2% shrubs and bushes, 0.46% riverbed, and lakes are 0.2%. Okay. So my objective was to prepare complete inventory of the flowering plants of Chitral, and the other objective was to prepare a red list. So we started our floristic investigations on 1st May to 30th September each year. 40 spots were selected and extensive plant collections were carried out by noting so many other categories and criteria. Okay, so the criteria for selection of these spots were the number of endemic and rare taxa already reported in various floras. For example, flora of Pakistan or flora iranica. And the other is that the population size of rare and endemic taxa. So these two were the criteria selected for categorizing these hotspots, selecting these hotspots. Okay, the yellow spots indicating the which we get them dried properly, to get them pressed properly, and get them identified. That's why we developed a database. Okay, and this is a look of the database which that was offline. Okay, so the criteria, the IUCN criteria. So how we categorize these plants, that was purely based on the IUCN criteria for determining the conservation status. So what is in the criteria? Those taxa which have population reduction of more than or equal to 80%, those taxa are categorized as critically endangered. Those taxa which have a 50 to 78% population reduction are categorized as endangered. Likewise, we have vulnerable taxa with 20 to 49% population reduction. Similarly, we have estimated extent of occurrence of 100 kilometers squared for critically endangered. For endangered, we have 5,000 kilometers square area. For vulnerable taxa, we have 20,000 square kilometer area. So similarly, for critically endangered taxa, if it is based on estimated area of occupancy, then we must have at least 10 kilometer square area. And for endangered species, we must have 50 kilometer square area. For vulnerable taxa, we must have 2,000 square kilometer area. Okay, these were the other characteristics which were studies. Okay, challenges for endemic plant conservations. So, biodiversity loss is a global issue, we all know that. But the reasons responsible may be addressed on local scale. Unless and until we go deep into the grassroots level, we cannot conserve any species. Likewise, the health of any ecosystem can be analyzed by the richness of its rare and endemic taxa. If there is any ecosystem where the rare and endemic taxa are flourishing easily, this means that ecosystem is very healthy. Sir. Okay. Okay, so I will skip these types of endemic taxa because these are definitions of the schizoendemics, spectroendemics, and the apoendemics. We may discuss it if somebody is interested. So in Himalayas, we have endemic taxa that is 41%, and the Alps 47%, Eastern Alps 18%, Western. Okay, in the Hindu Kush region, look at here, 21%. So these are the taxa, these are the genera, the 4 genera endemic to Pakistan. Number 1, Suleimania, which is distributed in northern Balochistan to Suleiman Range. In Spirocetus, it is in Kuhar, Dopia, Koramiana. Okay, these are the localities from which these 4 genera were reported. Okay. So here, 7.7% of the species of the flora of Pakistan are endemic. That is about 453 species belonging to 43 families and 175 genera. Okay, one among these families are the Leguminosae at top with 63 species. Look at here, Chitral. The percentage of endemics in different areas of Pakistan and Kashmir. Kashmir is at the top with 20.8%, followed by Chitral with 15.7%. Professor Faizi was asking me that how many species are endemic who are here. So here is the figure, 15.7%. So the status of endemic taxa of Pakistan, endemic, most of the species could not be ascertained due to lack of complete data. So 50% of the species are known for type locality based on a single gathering. So we have to search for so many other localities as well. So similarly, the chromosome number and the genetic makeup should also be investigated. In Chitral, we have 61 taxa endemic to Chitral. Okay, There are 10 taxa which are endemic to Chitral and also found in other parts of the country. So there are 21 taxa which are endemic to Chitral and other adjacent countries. These are 21. So here is a number. These taxa are confined to Chitral, but also found in other adjacent countries. Look at here, Allium barzovskii is endemic to this particular region, some parts of Russia, Afghanistan and Chitral. So Allium chitralicum, although it is reported from Chitral, but it is also reported from Gilgit and Afghanistan. So Arnebia grandiflora, it was reported from Chitral, but also found in Iran and Afghanistan, Campanula terrestris, Chitral and Afghanistan. Okay, Wendelboa obtusa, this was the species which Wendelboa, the genus, was previously reported as endemic to Chitral, but now it is shifted to Taraxacum. So a little bit about red list. So I'm not going into the details of what is red list. So I'm skipping so many slides over here. Okay. So the critical endangered species. These are the 5 species which I could categorize as critically endangered species based on the data of extent of occurrence, area of occupancy and population size. These are the list of species which are endangered. They are 13 in number. The vulnerable species 15 in number. So a few pictures of Galonia chitralensis. It is endemic to Chitral and it is categorized as critically endangered. Look at the localities from which I could collect these taxa. These are the population size and localities. Again, critically endangered, endemic to Chitral. Delphinium nordhagina, it is again endemic to Chitral and reported from these localities, critically endangered. This is the population size data. This is Astragalus gahiratensis. It is reported from Chitral Bone National Park. It is critically endangered. Okay. Astragalus chitralensis. Okay. Critically endangered. And this is again critically endangered species. Gallium chitralensis. Saline longisepala. It is endangered. And Delphinium chitralensis. So these are the, I think time is over. Okay. So these are the threats which we have for all these taxa. So I am not going into the detail of these threats. Okay, thank you. If we have any questions.
Questions?
Dr. Haider Ali sir, I would like to come to the front. Sir, I am happy that you have carried so much elaborate research on Chitral. Welcome to you. Sir, I am asking about the flora of Lawari Pass. You have told that monsoons are extending to Lawari. So once they extend to Lawari Pass, what about the vegetation down to Lawari Pass? Why those monsoons are not extending to rest of the Chitral? Is there any concrete reason?
For me, spreading the seed dispersal, for seed dispersal. So we found some species of the lower regions in Lower Etam, but not beyond Lower Etam, because it is very hard for these species to get their seeds dispersed beyond Lower Etam.
Sir, doctor, actually my question is that we are sharing most of the coniferous vegetation with Dir as well to the other side of Lawari Pass. If monsoon rays are approaching to Dir side, to that very area, and again we are sharing the same coniferous forest to the downside, I mean towards Chitral, then there might be some common environmental condition, and that's why the monsoon. So my question is that once monsoons cross Lawari Top, they cross Lawari Top, this is of course because coniferous forests are there, the vegetation is somewhat different. Why they are not extending to rest of the part down to Chitral? I mean, when you extend from Drosh to upper area, the vegetation suddenly gets changed.
There are
Yes.
Okay.
May I answer this question?
There are so many factors. I mean, it would be better if we could discuss it later because.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Any other?
One other question here.
Genetic makeup and habitat specificity. So we have to find out what kind of genetic makeup this particular species has, number one. Number two, what kind of habitat specificity this particular species has. So we have to find out each and every factor regarding this species, the occurrence, why we have less population size, why we have very less geographic range. So we have to find out these factors unless and until we cannot conserve that plant.
Thank you very much.
Sir, okay.
Sir, thank you. Sir,
There will be a break.
The time is over. The time is over.
The purpose of breaks is to follow up on talks you've heard, so please take advantage of them for that purpose. And the next speaker will be Professor Dr. Torjan, and I'm told that cryopreservation is not the full title. So would you please give us the full title when you come up here? Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We have to form presentation as and with through conservation of Salvia centrifulia, a high medicinal plant.
This one.
Yeah, this one.
This is the top.
This is the top.
We have to learn from the University of Malaband Department of Water. Introduction. From the dawn of civilization, man has domesticated animals and conserved the best useful plants. Recently, the science of agriculture, horticulture, and plant breeding have allowed great improvement to the productivity and quality of crops. Tissue culture as another rapidly developing technology, it allows faster rate of multiplication and production of two-type plants. The technique, the plant tissue culture reduces the labor and space requirement for producing new varieties. Plant tissue culture has presently gained a great interest to molecular biologists, plant breeders, and industrialists. The aim of this research is to produce two-type plantlet through the tissue culture techniques. Material and method: shoot, induction, and multiplication media for Salvia centrifugula. First, to induce the shoots, the media MS media along with hormone was used. You know that hormone can affect the growth of the plants and different concentration of different types of hormone were used. By using the hormone, BAP, 2IP and kinetin were used at different concentration. After producing plants and that media, they were multiplied, hence growth rate was increased, and at the last plantlet was produced. It means that root was induced in the regenerated shoots, and for rooting and other type of hormone was used, and it was IVA at different concentration. Result, as I was mentioned, that first shoot was induced. This is the table, and different concentration of PA and 2IP was used. At the concentration of 2 milligram per liter, the result was not too much good. And as we increase the concentration of the hormone and reach to 3 milligram per liter, 2.4 number of shoot was produced, and the shoot was also elongated and 4.1. And when we increase the concentrations further and reach to 4 milligram per liter, the number of shoot increase as well as the length of shoot. And the other hormones, 2IP, was also used at different concentration. And the highest concentration of the 2IP as the best, and 2.26 number of shoot was produced, and the elongated shoot 4.26 centimeter was produced at this concentration. After producing the shoots, the number of shoot and the two types of hormone was 2. To increase the number of shoot and to enhance the multiplication, the hormone concentration was further changed. And this is the in other table, and the hormones concentration was changed, and it was manipulated, and it was subculture on these concentration, as you see in the tables. At the intermediate concentration, 3 milligram per liter, 11 number of shoot was produced, and the length also increased, 3.8. And similarly, at the level of 2IP, at the level of 2 milligram per liter, 9 number of shoot was produced, and the length of the shoot also increased 5.37. This is the bunch of food, cluster of food produced on the hormones that I mentioned earlier. This is another hormones that produce these shoots. After producing the shoots, the regenerated shoot was transferred on rooting media for the production of plantlet. For the plantlet production, IVA was used at different concentration, and at the rate of 2.5 milligram per liter, 7 number of shoot was produced, and the length of shoot was 4.54. And